Hello. Happy Tuesday, October 14th. I should know that because my husband's birthday is tomorrow, October 15th. So happy Tuesday. Hi, Valerie. Good to see you. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you as well. I'm glad you guys are here. It's nice to be back. Last week was a whirlwind of travel between ICVM and then going straight to Nashville, but it was a great week. And a week ago tonight, I was at the Dove Awards, and man, what a wonderful night that was. The Dove Awards are airing or did air on TBN, I think, this last Friday night. And if you have a chance to watch it, there's some fantastic performances on there. I was actually really, really excited to have been able to see it. So let's see. Ellie Mae. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Ellie Mae. So good to see you again. I just had the privilege and joy of spending a coaching hour with Ellie Mae, very, very talented young 14-year-old actress. And hi, William. Yes, you won one. I was hoping you guys came really close. I was hoping there would be another one, but sadly there was not. But hopefully it'll come back around. Give them a chance. Just try, give them a chance. So good week and happy to be back, getting back into a routine, although I leave again on Saturday for a week. So this month of September, October have been the two busiest travel months for me. But after I get back from that, then I'll have a little bit better of a rhythm. Who knows? We just take it as it comes, right? But for now, I'm super excited to be here tonight and to be with you guys. And tonight, I thought that I would. Hi, Valerie. Let's see. I think you got to see one of Evelyn's trailers at ICVM Luncheon. Which one, Valerie? I wasn't at all of the luncheons, so I'm not, because I got in a day and a half or a day late. And then I had a lunch appointment during one of them, so I might have missed something. Excuse me as I have my water nearby. But let me know which movie. So tonight, I have this book called Casting Cues, a collection of casting director interviews. Now, this is quite old, very old. It's from 2003. But while some of the things in this book don't really apply anymore because they talk about a lot of, about, in-person auditions, they talk about the process of submitting and, always bring your headshots and things like that, which isn't as current anymore. Elijah Peel. Oh, yeah. I did see that. That trailer was great, Valerie. Really, yeah, I loved that. That was very, very cool. Hi, Brooklyn. Weren't the Dove Awards great, Brooklyn? I didn't know that you were there. Not that I would have been able to find you or see you, but it was a great, great show, awards show. So, okay, focus. I'm getting a little off focus. Okay, so this book, Casting Cues, a collection of casting director interviews by Bonnie Gillespie. It's from 2003, so it's quite old. So there are things in here that don't apply just because technology has changed and time has changed. Hi, Yad. I'm glad you're here. Good to see you. But a lot of things are the same, and they'll be the same in the next 20 years and the next 50 years because they are just timeless advice. So each of them were asked a series of questions, and I'm going to focus on two of the questions they were asked. One is pet peeves. The other is advice. So I'm going to read a few of those, for which I must put on my spectacles because, that's what we do. And I will say before I get into some of these, and I want to kind of explain or expand on a few of them based on my experience, but the number one thing on the pet peeves is actors not being prepared. So I'm not going to read the many, 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 many interviews in which that's what the casting director's pet peeve was unprepared actors or unprofessional actors. We know that. You guys know that. So I don't need to say it again, but just know that's a big pet peeve across the board. Hi, Sam. Secondly, the number two most frequent pet peeve was not looking like your headshot. And of course, that was a bigger deal when we were in person, but it actually still is a big deal because when even with like Zoom auditions or self-tape auditions, I'm choosing you initially based on me, which includes your headshot. A headshot is a major part of your presentation and me understanding if you're a potential fit for the role. Physicality, whether we like it or not, is a huge part of the casting process, and whether you fit the family model or whether you fit the time period, whether you fit the regional period. I mean, there's a million reasons that your physicality plays into whether or not you would be appropriate for a role. Age is a big thing. So one of my pet peeves is using headshots that are out of date, which means you're not the same age that your headshot represented you to be. The biggest issue I have with that is in two categories. One, the very young. So I've seen it where a young actor probably booked a lot when they were young and cute and, like 8 years old, 9 years old. Now they're getting 12 and 13. And in their brain or their parents' brain, they think, oh, they can still play. They could still play 9 or 10. Yeah, no problem. And so they keep using this old headshot that, as it turns out, doesn't look anything like them anymore. They're now 5 inches taller than they were before. And it's complete. The minute I see their tape, it's a waste of my time. It's an absolute waste of my time. So, and I get frustrated by that because it's a waste and it's disrespectful, not only to the casting director, but also to the other actors who could have been right for it, but didn't get an opportunity because we chose you instead. So make sure your headshots, especially those of young performers who are changing literally every year, completely changing physically. The other side of that is older actors who are convinced they can still play 35, even though they're now 50. And you put a little filter on your picture or on your video or your snapshot or whatever, or your social media is full of photos that have been retouched within an inch of their life. But when we actually see you on the self-tape, which, you can't filter out the realness of it, or on a Zoom type callback, we realize you're not even in the right category age-wise. Be honest and realistic about your age range. Embrace the age you are. Embrace what you play. Do not lament it. Remember, every day you live is not only a blessing and a gift, because there are plenty of people who aren't given those days. So not only is it a blessing and a gift, but it's one more day for you to have life experiences that feed you as an actor, that build you as an actor. And it's one more day to serve and be kind to others and to basically fulfill that greatest mission that God gave us, which is, to love one another, serve one another. And so embrace the age you are. And don't try to keep pushing that envelope to the point where I get frustrated because I get a headshot that makes you look 35, then you show up at the audition and you're 50. And I'm thinking, again, waste of my time and disrespectful. So that's those two things, unprepared or unprofessional, and then headshots that don't look like the actor, were the two biggest recurring comments as far as pet peeves. Okay. But there were others on here that I thought were interesting. So I'm just going to share. Again, we're focusing on pet peeves and advice. So I'm just going to start on a few of these. So this was advice. And I don't necessarily need to tell you every casting director's name, some of these, because it is 23, 22 years old. Some of these casting directors aren't still in the business, but the advice I think is still great. So here's one casting director's advice. When you're preparing for an audition, have 2 or 3 ways of doing the role in your back pocket. The producers don't always know what they want, so they may just ask you to try something else. Have something else ready. Now, I can tell you firsthand that this has happened in my auditions a fair amount. So, and I've also done it in auditions, in the round of auditions where I'm running the audition, which is they do a read and it's great, but I just want to see if they have more, if they have something different, or if they've rehearsed this so much to the point where they don't have any flexibility. I want to just see if they're loose enough as an actor or grounded enough in the character and the circumstance to shift and to move, even if I don't give them that specific direction. So I absolutely myself have said, and I've had directors say, you know what, let's do it again and just do something different. That's all we say. So we're not telling you exactly what to do. We just say, do something different. So in that time, of course, you can say, can I have a moment? And then it isn't to do something different, surface kind of a thing, like move your hands differently or raise your voice differently. It's a find a different way into the scene for this character. Find a different emotion or connection point or motivation for this character to approach this moment differently, rather than just being different. Find a grounding point that, because it is a shift, will mean that the scene naturally shifts as a result of that grounding point being slightly shifted. Okay. It all still has to go back to a very honest and grounded connection point internally. So when we say that, let's do it again, but do something different, we're not saying just move your arms differently. We're not saying externally. We're saying give a different approach, take a different, a different POV for this character than you did the first time around, and see where it takes you. We want you to be prepared. We want you to have made decisions, but we also want you to hold it loosely so that you can just be in the moment and live in the world and respond accordingly. Hopefully that makes sense. William, do you leave it up to the actor to try something different or offer a specific? So it's either way. That's what I was just saying, is that sometimes we'll give you specific direction. And I think in many ways that's easier because we're telling you exactly the change we want you to make. But when we just say to you, you know what, let's have you do it again, but just change it up, do something different. It's up to you to find a new point of view or a new stimulus into the scene and into the moment, a new motivating, driving factor into the scene that's different from the first approach you took. If that point of view, or Aaron, like you said, objective, a different objective, if that changes internally, then the rest of the scene should change along with it. So I was doing a coaching with someone, and we were going through, we were looking at footage for her demo reel, and she had a scene that they had done several different ways, and they were very different. And one was, because I could hear the director, the camera was rolling, so I heard the director's notes between takes. And so one of them was, you're angry at him and you want him to know it. And then another take was, you're sorry and you feel bad and you want him to forgive you. Like a couple totally different motivating criteria going, as you said, Aaron, totally different objectives into the same scene. So the starting point when we say do something different isn't surface level different, it's motivation, internal different, that then colors the whole scene based on that different grounding point from which you enter the scene. Jim McKinney, for co-star self-tapes, do you recommend sending 2 different reads even if the CD does not request? No, and not unless you feel strongly that you have a second take that you really want them to see. But as a matter of practice, you do not need to send in 2 takes if they don't request it. You can usually. Now, there have been times when I've said only 1 take because I just can't watch that many tapes. And so always follow their directions. But I don't think as a rule, you have to come up with 2 choices that you tape. But if you have 2 choices, both of which you think are equally authentic for you and equally compelling, and you see an effective way through for each of them, then if they haven't limited you to 1, then go ahead and send 2. Ken Dodge, I find it helps to research the character if it's a real person. If not a real person, I look into the lines and setting and set up and play it as it is me actually going through that particular moment in real life. Yeah, Ken, actors do a lot of different ways of finding their way into a character. Some prefer not to make it quite so personal. And, there's different reasons for that. But it's all in what works for you, what, lack of a better word, what method, and I don't mean necessarily method acting, but what process works best for you to find those connection points. So some acting processes use your own experiences, but the connection point is not quite as personal. And that can be important for people who've maybe been through a lot of trauma, and it's hard to connect to those points without it kind of having to relive the trauma. But there are a lot of different ways to access and get to those core connection points and feelings and authenticity, groundedness. It's just a matter of finding the process that works for you. So it sounds like you have found what works for you, which is great. Okay, so on to the next. Let's see. This one is, let's see. So this was actually, the question for this was key things that this casting director looks for in an actor. And the response was, do they listen? The most important thing about acting is what's going on with your eyes. Absolutely. That is absolutely true. Are you listening and reacting or just doing your lines? I know the difference, Frisky said, this casting director said. So Do they listen? The most important thing about acting is what's going on with your eyes. Are you listening and reacting or just doing your lines? And it's true. It's absolutely true. Our eyes involuntarily move and process our thoughts and reveal, they can betray our what we're trying to put out there. Maybe if we're trying to be strong or stoic, or we're trying to act like we care for someone when we're really mad at them, our eyes can betray us, because our eyes show so much truth and honesty and authenticity, and so much of it is involuntary. So what you have to do is connect internally, so that the eyes, the brain are processing the moment in a way that comes across as real and grounded and authentic. And when we listen to someone, we don't just stare at them. In fact, that kind of communicates that you're glossed over and not listening at all. When we listen to someone, actively listen to someone, our eyes have a response as well, and we're processing their thoughts, and we're going through what they're telling us and processing the information that we're receiving. Yeah. Listening is a challenge to every actor. Yeah, it is. But it's absolutely so important. All right. Next one is, I'm going to do a lot of taking my glasses on and off. This next one is pet peeves. Going too far. There's an acting school that tells actors to do something outrageous in order to be memorable. I can tell the actors from that school. So can I. That's that idea. This is me talking now. That's that idea that, make big choices. I was just talking to Ellie Mae earlier about this. There's this idea, make strong choices, make bold choices. Well, we don't mean big and bold for the sake of being big and bold. We mean strong, intentional, connected choices. So here it says, pet peeves, going too far. There's an acting school that tells actors to do something outrageous in order to be memorable. I can tell the actors from that school. I've had my hair played with. I've been kissed. Does he remember these actors? And the response is, we remember these people as freaks. And that's obviously slightly harsh, but you're being remembered for all the wrong reasons. So yes, you're memorable if you do these bizarre things, but it's not memorable for good reasons. It's memorable for all the bad reasons. Let's see. Rod, Denzel Washington is an actor who I like, who shows a lot through his. Absolutely. Denzel Washington is great at that. Can feel emotion, let it be seen in your reel. I think you might have sent eyes. Jim Carrey. Yeah. All right. So next one. It is, I liked this one. This is a very practical tip, I thought, and I could even use it in my work too. I think anyone who is self-employed, which we all are, right? We're the CEOs of our own business and company. And so I liked this one a lot. It says, advice for actors, keep a daily journal cataloging the time you spend on acting. This includes time spent on mailings, working on monologues, scene work. When you look at that, you'll be surprised how little time you're actually investing in what you're calling your dream. And I have to agree with that. We talk about what to do in the downtimes, right? In between the gigs, in between the jobs. And there really is so much you guys can be doing. And I'm speaking to myself as well, although I kind of have a pile of work. So it's pretty obvious to me what I need to be doing right now. But some of what I'm doing is like the organizational stuff. I need to clean out my email inbox so that my inbox is more efficient and my email organization is more efficient, and I'm not so distracted by a bunch of emails that actually don't matter right now. And those are little things we do that seem pointless, but they really are setting you up for success when the time comes that you have the gig or you have the 3 auditions in one day and you've got to just get them done and get the self-tapes done and be ready. It's in the downtime that you work towards those times that will come when you are under the gun and you need to be able to get stuff done quickly and efficiently. So I love this idea that you catalog the time you spend on acting. When you look at that, you'll be surprised how little time you're actually investing in what you're calling your dream. I hear that so much from, oh, it's my dream, it's my passion. So what are you doing every single day to create forward momentum towards that passion and that goal? And if it's something you say, I just really feel like God's called me to this. God has put me in this position and this is what he wants me to be doing. Okay. Well, then God also wants you to take all of the resources that he's put in front of you and use those to their fullest. He's giving you more than enough to be able to make use of every single day. There are masterclass is a great, I've been actually listening to some writing masterclasses because it's something that I've been thinking about. And so I'm trying to keep my mind focused even when I've been doing my walks and listening to that masterclass. And so it just keeps my brain engaged. I know Alan Powell does that same thing. He always is trying to watch YouTube videos and masterclass videos, seminars, TED Talks, whatever it is, but because it just keeps your mind engaged in the area that you say you want to be in the area that you are saying you want to excel at, to be successful with. Well, there's a lot of work. Doctors aren't successful. They don't go from graduating high school, graduating college, and now they're a doctor. No, they work at it every day and every day. And I know then doctors continue to go to seminars and workshops and they read the medical journals and they're learning the latest information on new drugs and new treatments and protocols. They don't just say, okay, I'm a doctor now, I'm done learning. No, they're continually striving and working and staying updated with that. We need to be approaching our careers and our callings, our passions, our dreams, that same way, that we never stop learning. And I think I would be, just as I suspect many of you would be, quite surprised if we literally logged the time we spent actually focused on our work versus the times we allow, I'm speaking from my own heart here, the times we allow ourselves to get distracted or go down a rabbit hole of some, I don't know, YouTube video or some, I don't know, Facebook post or Instagram post that really is not helpful or useful or beneficial to the bigger picture of what we are saying is our goal, is our passion, is our calling. And so there is so much of this business that is out of your control. We all know that. Same thing for me. So I want to challenge us, myself included, to really use and focus on and take advantage of all the things that are in our control and work at those and do those and continue to learn and grow and be better and challenge ourselves. So I loved that for that reason. A simple task like just journaling the time you're spending actually focused on the work. And let it inform you. Maybe you're spending a ton of time and you'll be pleasantly surprised, but I suspect many of us will be it'll be a reality check for many of us, myself included. So, okay, next, let's see what people are saying. Aaron, that was me yesterday. 6 auditions. Good for you, Aaron. 6 auditions on set yesterday and today. Got them all done though. See, that's great. You are training just like an athlete trains for the race, for the Olympics, for the whatever. They're training towards that. And same thing for you, Aaron, and all of you actors, which is you're training, you're using that time so that when the time comes that you've got to be on and you've got to be fast, you've got to be efficient, that you're ready for it. You're ready. You have what you need. You're set up. Your muscles, your acting muscles are loose. You've been staying, training and working, pushing yourself so that you're ready. You're absolutely ready. Brooklyn, I'm working through my things as well. Reorganizing, sent emails, had a Zoom meeting. Every step, big or small, is important. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing the reminder. Me too. It's a reminder for me too, Brooklyn. Yeah, scene study with actor friends. Absolutely. You have to know you're not the only one. You're not the only one who could use a little sort of accountability or a little push with some fellow actors. So yeah, have a scene study. I know of several actors who are doing table reads just for the exercise of it, for the training of it, but also the community of it and the collaboration of it. So I think that all of that is great. Let's see. Monica, you have to be open to opportunities that may not necessarily make you a star. Of course. I made my living teaching acting to kids for 23 years. Yeah, I love it. And, I think I've told you guys before, when I, in my casting career, there were times that in addition to casting, I was doing other things because maybe I was in between projects or a time where the projects weren't quite as regular. And so I've taught how to make iMovies for kindergarten through 6th graders. I was a wedding coordinator at one time. I've taught acting. I mean, there's different things we do. The best times were when what I was doing as my in-between job also related to or in some way was connected to my ultimate work. And when we get those opportunities, that's fantastic because it's still using our muscles, but in maybe a slightly different way. But either way, life experience is life experience. So Tina, jumping in late, but going to watch. So true. Great advice. Good. Always been doing something towards your goal and keep learning. And by the way, Tina's in Nashville, great teacher. If you guys need coaching or if you're looking to get in on a class, Tina, I don't know how often you do online class sessions versus your in-person, but if you're in the Nashville area, she has her studio out there. So you can always go to Tina, why don't you post your website or the best way that people can get in touch with you if they want to look into either online classes or in-person classes? That'd be great. That's Valerie. I've run a few marathons as a mom to 6 actors. Didn't ask for it, but helping your kids. Yeah. When it's a kid, when it's kids acting, child acting, it's a whole family thing. It has to be because it consumes all of it. Let's see. Robin, recently in a Kirk Wohler class, Jala Vasu advised working each week on a new self-tape for yourself. I agree. So Kirk Wohler plays Gaius in The Chosen, and Jala Vasu is in The Chosen as well. She was the woman with the issue of blood. Beautiful, talented actress. And Kirk has a great acting studio as well. His is mostly online, I think all online. His is Actor Class, but class is spelled with a K. So it's Actor, ACTOR Class, KLASS.com. He also is a fantastic teacher, has classes, sometimes has one-day workshops. He's wonderful as well. So let's see. Ken, you're in Nashville as well. That's great. Robin says, Tina's online class is great. I love that endorsement. Thanks, Robin. Tony, there are a couple guys in my acting class that are writing shorts and writing specifically for people in the class. I love that. Love, love, love that. That's great. Okay, so going on. Let's see. This is under, I think, was this pet peeves? Okay, so this is pet peeves. So speaking for us, we want the actor to succeed. And you guys have heard me say that many times. All of us casting directors, producers, we want you to be fantastic because we want to be able to get these roles cast in a way that's wonderful and then move on to the next role. We never bring in an actor hoping he'll fail. We want the actor to score. The sooner we find an actor who scores, the better for us. Professional casting directors prefer quality to quantity. Now, this is what I want to say about that, which is this is something I want you guys to realize is the result of that, or the consequences of that on your side, which is we do prefer quality to quantity, which is why sometimes you hear about casting directors who always go pull the actors from the same agents that they always work with or that they like, or they focus on a certain agency. Well, we do that sometimes because of the time constraint. We only have a limited amount of time. And so unfortunately, we can't see everybody. We can't give every unknown actor a shot. We can't take a chance on everyone who wants to audition for the role. We have to mitigate our risk by trying to fill our audition opportunities with people who will likely be great, right? And what that means for you guys, though, is you need to be that person that's great, that we're consistently bringing in because we like you. We're trying to find a spot for you, because when it's quality over quantity, you can't be guaranteed that you're going to get that chance, that you're going to get that opportunity if your materials aren't top notch, if you aren't doing everything in your control to be the best actor possible, to have the most professional materials possible. It's just not likely that through all the thousands of people who are submitting and the very few, maybe 100, 200 spots that we have, that we're going to take on a chance on someone who on the surface doesn't have everything together. So you have got to be competitive. You've got to do everything you can in your power to be competitive. And that goes back to the doing something every day to move you forward in your craft, in your calling, in your passion. So yeah, professional casting directors prefer quality to quantity. And that's just because we don't have the time to see 500 people. We just don't. And so, yeah, we need quality. All right, let's see. The question for this one was key things that this casting director looks for in an actor. And this is, I agree with all these actually, or else I wouldn't have flagged them. But commitment, commitment, commitment. How does she know commitment when she sees it? Speaking about the casting director, it just screams out at you. I know almost from the minute I meet an actor for the first time, whether they take responsibility for their career, whether they are doing the work in order to get the results they want. There are some actors who want the result without doing the work. I have no patience for that, she said. And I agree with that. We can tell if there's a commitment. We can tell if there's a depth of training, of engagement in sort of the industry as a whole, and not only your specific acting tools, but also what's going on in the industry, who's making the projects that you want to be a part of, who's doing the work that you admire. That we can tell those things most of the time. Let's see. Yes, Aaron Kirk is great. Yeah, it says watch Soul and Fire movie in theaters. It's worth watching. I've seen that it's coming out, so it does look good for sure. Let's see. Okay, here's another pet peeves. We've talked about this. You guys and I have talked about this already, so you'll know. It'll sound very familiar to you. Pet peeve: trying to figure out what I'm looking for, meaning what the casting director is looking for, rather than just coming in saying, here I am, this is me, this is who I am, what I look like, what I sound like, how old I am, and how I interpret this character. If that is what you're looking for, then I am that. So that's exactly right. I have actors, it happens all the time, who don't make decisions because they're so paranoid. Some of them are perfectionists. Some of them are perfectionists in their life in general. And so they have trouble making a decision unless they absolutely know it's the right decision, and they question themselves. And so this is a very hard path for someone like that, because there's so much of it that you don't get clear, definitive, do this, do this, do this, and this will happen. It's just not that kind of an industry. It's not that kind of a craft. So those who are perfectionists or people pleasers, it can be quite difficult for you guys to make decisions and commit to them, and stop doubting yourself. Stop getting in your head of, well, is this what they want? Is this what you think they want? I wonder what they want. And it doesn't work. You can't come into an audition or a self-tape or any of that with that mindset. So I love what this wrote. Come in saying, here I am. This is me. This is who I am. It's what I look like. So, embrace exactly who you are. It's what I look like. It's what I sound like, how old I am, and how I interpret this character. That's what we're asking you to do. That's what we want. Okay, so let me see some of your comments. Yeah, I have a big question. If my agent submits me for a role, I got the audition, but I declined it because I was working on another show in Atlanta. Note, the agent wasn't my LA agent and didn't pay attention to my book out. Does the CD hold it against me or my agent? Okay, so I can only tell you my perspective, but I suspect it's probably similar to how I feel, which is, if I just get a straight decline with no explanation, then sometimes that can bother me, because I question why the decline, and it makes me think, well, maybe they don't like this content, or they don't feel it's important enough for them to put the time into it. So that can be a negative. But if I get a decline with an explanation of unavailable due to working on project in Atlanta, then that's fine. I'll make that note, that not so much that they declined, but they were unavailable to audition or unavailable for the project. Now, if you're working on a project in Atlanta, and so the other show in Atlanta, was it a conflict with the actual production of the other one or just the audition of the other one. Because if it was just the audition of the other one, I would tell you to try to make the time and get the audition done and get help from fellow actors. But if that project in Atlanta meant that you were no longer available for the production of the other one, then yes, I would just have them give that reason. And that happens all the time. And I don't hold that against anybody. I don't think anyone else would, because from the time that your agent submits, people get jobs all the time. And so they were unavailable at one moment, but by the time we go to reach out and have them audition, they're no longer available. And so that's understandable. Let's see, Rod, I just tried an improv class last week. Yay. Let me tell you, it definitely takes you out of your comfort zone. It does. And gets you thinking on the spot. Recommend any actors to try at least once. I recommend actors try it more than once. I think it's a skill set and experience that all actors should have and be comfortable with, because flying without a net, trusting your own gut instincts and learning what it feels like to be in the moment, present in the moment, actively listening to the other person or persons in the scene, those are all great acting skills, not just improv skills. And so I think every actor, it should be required learning, required training to take improv, not just once, but multiple times to grow in the craft of improv. Let's see. Aaron, I'm a recovering perfectionist, but I finally come to the conclusion that I am enough. Good for you, because you are enough. Valerie, Cast by Network doesn't give you a way to comment on why you're declining. Okay, well, I can't really speak to that. Oh, Casting Networks. I can't really speak to that, but your agent certainly could send a note to the casting director for further explanation, to clarify, I think. So yeah, maybe that's the other way that you get that across. So hi, Emily. Good to see you. Hi, Brad. Well, you said you got to go, so you may be gone already, but hi, Brad, if you didn't go already. All right, let me go on with my pet peeves and actor advice. I'll just do a couple more. I'll save some of these others for later. Okay, so this I think is really good advice. So this is under the advice for actors. Be responsible, of course. Be prepared, of course. It says be prepared, but don't be over rehearsed. And there is a difference. I liked this one because I wanted to make sure we clarify that distinction. Be prepared, but not over rehearsed. The preparation is who is this character? What are my connection points to this character? What is the world this character is living in that I'm existing in? How am I navigating? What is my objective? That's being prepared. But don't be over rehearsed. That's where actors can get into trouble. When we did on one of the last monologue workshops I did in the recent weeks, we talked about it happened to do with taking glasses on and off in a scene. And this one actress took the glasses off in the same place every time and did the exact same thing every time. And I said to her, if we had you do 2 takes and in both takes, you literally I don't know, John, what are we going to do? And then we did the take again and you're like, I don't know, John, what are we going to do? Then we know it's over rehearsed. That's not an organic thing that's happening, because you're like, why do we take off our glasses? I'm taking off my glasses because I need them to read the book, the text that I have, the book that I'm reading. But to see you all clearly and to be able, I want to be able to communicate. And because our eyes are our biggest communication tool, I don't want the glare of my glasses to impede that. So I take them off. So my reason for taking off the glasses is because I want to connect with you and I want to say something and have you hear me, and to not have it be masked by the glasses. There has to be a reason in a scene that you put on a pair of glasses and take off a pair of glasses. It cannot just be because you're trying to fill a moment or a beat. And when you do a scene again, you got to change it up. It doesn't mean you don't take the glasses off, but you don't do it in the exact same spot, the exact same way. You've got to switch it up. So like my direction to her was, take the glasses off, look at them, see the dirt. Like she was taking them off and cleaning it. I'm like, well, how about you notice that they're dirty first and then clean while you're talking, right? Rather than you're just here, you're here, clean, you start cleaning them, you're talking. It's like, no, take them off. Notice they're dirty, you're talking, you're having a dialogue, and you're fixing your glasses and sort of talking while you clean your glasses and looking down. And then you finish cleaning your glasses and move your hair out of your eyes and you stick your glasses back on, right? So make sure, and Peggy, I see your note. I'm talking about in the context of an audition. So in an audition, we are looking for you to be present, to be authentic, to be in the moment, actively in the moment, actively listening. You've made choices about who this character is, why she's there, where she is, what does the environment feel like? Are there people around? Is it quiet? Is it loud? How do you feel about the person that you're talking to or people you're talking to? How you feel about being in this moment? Those are all the decisions you've made. But you've made all those decisions and then you get into the scene and then you just live in that place with all those decisions as your grounding. Then you just live in that place. And for the audition process, we want to see a fluidity. We want to see an authenticity. We want to see that you're not over rehearsed, that you haven't plotted, take off glasses here, put on glasses here, white brow here. You know, it shouldn't feel robotic that way. It should feel organic and motivated by something real. Everything we do is motivated by something that first is a thought or a feeling internally. Yes, Peggy, when you're actually filming, continuity is important. And so that's the point at which you are going to be consistent about, if you always take your glasses off with your right hand, you need to keep taking them off with your right hand. You know, those kinds of technical things are important. But in the audition process, that's where it's a little different than the actual filming process. So let's see. Okay, so it says, be responsible, be prepared, but don't be over rehearsed. If you read with someone, you can't determine their reactions. So be open to listening and responding. Be loose enough to adapt to what they give you rather than carving out immutable space. And I used to do this a lot when we were in person, but I've still done it sometimes in the Zoom audition, which is when we were in person, and say we do a scene and the scene calls for a lot of raised voices and anger. Okay. And so we do a take, and both the reader, I typically would have great actors as my readers. Just I was able to do that. So the reader and the actor would raise their voices and they're really getting into the scene that way. And it's very forward. It's very loud. So then I would lean over without the actor, the auditioning actor knowing. I would lean over to my reader and say, this time, don't get loud, get quiet. Because I wanted to see what that actor would do if my reader completely shifted the dynamic with what they were giving them. If they didn't shift based on the changes they were receiving, that's a problem. I needed to see some sort of shift. Now, it didn't mean they didn't still raise their voice. Maybe they raised their voice because they're so frustrated that my reader wasn't arguing with them. You've ever had that where someone decides they're not going to argue and they're just going to shut down and they're not going to join you, and that's so frustrating if you really want to just argue and they won't let you. So it should absolutely affect the scene and change the dynamic. It should do something to change up the dynamic of how that scene goes. And so we do that purposely to see if you are present enough and actively listening enough to receive that different stimulus from the reader and respond accordingly. And we just want to see where it goes, how it changes the scene. I'll still do that in Zoom auditions because I can text my readers. Usually they're, again, actors who are also my assistants or actors I know. I can text and say, next take, don't yell, go quiet. So yeah, we do that. We do that because that's what we need to know. We need to know that you're in the moment. We need to know that you're fluid. We need to know that you're listening and you're actively engaged and present. So you know what the scene is. You know what the objective is. You know who this person is and the circumstances that you're living in. But you, just like we cannot predict what the others in our world will do, the others in our life, the other people we're interacting with will do. We can't predict their tone of voice. We can't predict how they'll respond to something we'll tell them. That's the same way in acting. It should be the same way in acting. There is just a in the moment, on the spot feel to it. And doing those kinds of exercises in the audition process helps us know whether you're an actor who is that way and who can respond that way. I think I have a few more, but I'll save them for another time. So I'll just put my little marker here to know where I stopped off. And yeah, I'll share some another time because I realize we're coming up on an hour here, but hopefully that was helpful. Did you get, and again, these are casting directors who worked on some of the biggest movies and shows that you've watched over the last 20 years and who are award-winning and really, really highly respected for what they do. And so, yeah, I think it's always good to hear from people who are experts in their field. So let's see. Yeah, there'll be people watching for that too. Yeah, you have your continuity team will tell you, but the easier you make their job, the better. So okay, so you guys, I will not see you next week because yet again I will be traveling, but we will let you know whether we are going to have our Tuesday or whether we're going to have a sub, or maybe Diego's going to, come in and do his thing for the week. That would be awesome. And in the meantime, I will see you in a couple of weeks. And yeah, I hope you have a great week. I think I'm going to challenge all of us to take a little inventory of the way we're spending our time each day, because I know for me, I could certainly be more focused and more efficient with the resources that God has placed right in my very path and dropped into my lap. So in the meantime, love you guys, appreciate you, enjoy spending this time together and seeing your comments. And I look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks. And that's it. Love you. Bye.